Welcome to Live Without Limits. Stop holding yourself back. Your breakthrough starts here. How slowing down, becoming aware, and living fully in the now can transform your life. This podcast is where we explore personal growth, emotional healing, mindset transformation, and the habits that help you create a life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. So in today's episode, we're talking about how mental wellness begins in the present moment. We live in the world that constantly pulls our attention in every direction. We replay the past. We worry about the future. We prepare ourselves for everyone else. And somewhere in the middle, we are in. The truth is this: your mental wellness is deeply connected to your ability to be in the present, the right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not once everything is perfect. Be right here, right now, because much emotional suffering comes from living mentally somewhere other than the present moment. Anxiety often lives in the future. Depression often lives in the past, but healing, clarity, peace, gratitude, and emotional balance are found in the present. Today, we're going to talk about why the present moment matters for mental wellness, how overthinking disconnects you from peace, the emotional cost of constantly living in survival mode, practical ways to become more mindful every day, how presence improves relationships, confidence, and emotional regulation, and how slowing down can actually help you reclaim your life. So wherever you are right now, driving, walking, working out, or simply sitting quietly, I want you to take a deep breath and give yourself permission to be fully here, because one mental wellness begins in the present moment. And this is where we need to see where we are right now and who we are. Why we struggle to stay in the present. Most people are physically present, but mentally absent. You may be in a conversation while thinking about work. You may be eating dinner while scrolling on your phone. You may be trying to relax while mentally replaying an argument from 3 days ago. The mind is constantly moving. And while thinking ahead and reflecting on the past can be useful, many of us become trapped there emotionally. We rehearse worst case scenarios. We relive painful memories. We obsess over things we cannot control. And eventually, our nervous system never truly rests. This is one reason so many people feel emotionally exhausted, even when they have physically haven't done very much physically. Their mind never starts running. The present moment feels uncomfortable because stillness forces us to comfort what we've been avoiding. Silence can reveal unresolved emotions, fears, insecurities, loneliness, grief, burnout. So instead of slowing down, many people stay distracted. But healing cannot happen when you are constantly escaping yourself At some point, mental wellness requires that you become aware of your inner world inside instead of running from it. Now, often what we like to do is this. You see it very much going on in the world now, that there's a lot of pettiness, a lot of jealousy, a lot of prejudice going on. And I don't know how many times when lived in Atlanta, I would constantly see people proselytizing you on the street to make you believe what they want you to believe. And often the Baptists will say that Catholics are not true Christians. And this religion, you cannot judge other people by believing and expect them to believe only what you believe. You have to let them be who they were meant to be and focus on yourself. That for many people, religion becomes their way of not dealing with the reality of who they are or how they see themselves in relationship to other people and work on themselves. They would rather blame other people for their problems. And you see this going on, and it's where at one time it was all underneath, you didn't hear about it as much, it's become very overt now. Understanding that helps us understand why we tend to need help when it comes to living in the present moment and being happy with who we are, because no one else on the outside can make you happy except you. The connection between present and mental health. When you become present, you begin regulating your nervous system. Your breathing slows down. Your thoughts become clearer. Your body begins to feel safe. Presence helps interpret emotional overwhelm. Think about this. Most stress comes from mentally carrying things that are not happening right now. Right now, in this moment, are you breathing? Are you safe? Are you alive? Is this exact second survivable? Usually, our answer is yes. But when the mind races into future uncertainty, the body responds as if danger is already happening. That's why mindfulness practices are so powerful. Mindfulness is not about perfection. It's about awareness. It's learning how to notice your thoughts, your emotions, your triggers, your physical sensations, your patterns. Because without immediately reacting to them, awareness creates space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space, healing begins. We need to be aware of who we are, and we need to understand why we react that way. Remember, a lot of fears are learned. A lot of fears can happen because as a young child, you may have a parent that had certain fears based on their experiences, and they passed it on to their children, unrealizing that what they were doing. Therefore, it's up to you to understand why you react the way you do and how you can better control your life. And when we talk about mindfulness, we think of yoga, we think of NLP, which is neuralistic programming, where that a trigger can be just touching one spot in your on your leg or on your arm or on someplace on your physical body that that you can help use to calm yourself down once you start to feel yourself beginning to show some signs of leaving the present moment. Because remember, we're talking about the triggers, we're talking about physical sensations, and we're talking about patterns. And our thoughts when we're alone tend to wander. And I can remember once standing at a bus stop and I had a glare in my eyes because I was very much inside myself thinking my own thoughts, and I was peripherally aware of what was going on around me. And to someone else that was standing there, it was as though I was staring at them and they made a remark. And the funny thing was, I wasn't even aware of them. It brought me out of where I was in my head to become aware of what was going on around me because I was semi-aware. And often, how many times you'll still see people on the subway or in a car when someone else is driving, and if they're not presently listening to music or reading a book, it's like when you fall asleep, your mind is constantly working because you are dreaming. You're in a deep state of thoughtfulness. And often we don't, when we sleep in a deep realm sleep, we dream. But unless you wake up right after that dream, you will not remember having had that dream. So think about this without immediately reacting. Awareness creates space between stimulus and reaction. And in that space, healing begins. Overcoming overthinking is stealing your peace. Overthinking convinces you that more worrying equals more control. But most overthinking does not solve problems. It creates emotional exhaustion. You replay conversations. You analyze people's behavior. You question your decisions. Fear overcomes and outcomes that haven't even happened. And eventually, your mind becomes a battlefield. The present moment disappears because your attention is consumed by mental noise. The problem is that overthinking disconnects you from reality. Instead of experiencing life, you are mentally rehearsing life. You stop enjoying the simple moments because your brain is always somewhere else. Mental wellness requires learning how to pause, breathe, ground yourself, and return to the now. Not every thought deserves your attention. Sometimes peace begins when you stop trying to mentally solve everything. The problem is, in today's society, we have so much noise around us that we don't know how to filter out what's important and what's not important, and how to only focus in on those things that are important to where we are at this moment. And in doing so, what are we doing? We are putting ourselves in that position where we are not allowing ourselves to begin to think of Welcome to Live Without Limits. Stop holding yourself back. Your breakthrough begins here. And I want you to think about what it is that you need to do to help yourself get where you want to be. Now, mental wellness begins in the present moment. So how slowing down, becoming aware, and living fully in the now can transform your life. I want to welcome you back to Live Without Limits, the podcast where we explore personal growth, emotional healing, mindset transformation, and the habits that help you create life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. So let's get to where we are going to be from here on out, and think about where you want to be in this day and time. Now, we were talking about the emotional power of slowing down. We glorify busyness in our culture. People feel guilty for resting, guilty for slowing down, guilty for doing nothing. But constantly staying busy can become emotional avoidance. Some people keep moving because they don't want to feel, but slowing down is necessary for emotional healing. When you slow down, you notice your emotions. You reconnect with yourself. You become intentional. You gain clarity. You stop operating on autopilot. Your mind and body need moments of recovery. Mental wellness is built through constant pressure. It's built through balance. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is go for a walk, sit quietly, journal your thoughts, breathe deeply, disconnect from technology, or simply rest without guilt. You do not have to earn rest. You are allowed to slow down and remember how you think, how you take care of yourself, how you get yourself into the here and now of what it is that helps you begin to accept yourself. Now, let's talk a little bit about why you need to journal your thoughts, but because it helps you put yourself in that position where you can get yourself in the here and now. You can get rid of those thoughts that are creating the problems. And technology, as good as it is, can also get us out of interacting with the people around you, because the millennials and Generation Z have grown up with the cell phones and texting each other. When they're face to face, they don't know how to communicate, because they only know how to communicate through texting one another. So even though society has advanced us and gotten us where we truly want to be, it also has created a situation where we need to become aware of just how much that technology has gotten us into where we need to be right now, and understand how you can get yourself into recognizing why you are not allowing yourself to be in the present moment. So how Presence improves relationships. One of the greatest gifts that you can give another person is your presence, not distractions, not multitasking, not half listening. Real presence. People can feel you when you are emotionally available. Being present improves communication because you actually hear people instead of preparing your response while they talk. Presence also improves emotional connection. When you become more present, you react less impulsively, you listen more deeply, you become more empathetic, you become emotionally aware. Many relationship problems come from emotional disconnection. People are together physically, but disconnected mentally and emotionally. Presence rebuilds connection, and it also helps you in your relationship with yourself because many people abandon themselves emotionally. They ignore their needs. They suppress their feelings. They silence their intuition. Mental wellness begins when you start listening to yourself again. Now, I know someone who always said she was empathetic, but it's not that she was empathetic, but that because there was so much jealousy there of someone else having it more together than she did. And I don't know how many times she would sit there and say things like, oh, so and so likes me because I'm so positive. And yet she was always jealous of what someone else had or what someone else did. Because I remember I happened to have a specific type of phone, and she couldn't get it when she was paying for her cell phone on her own. And then when her daughter started paying for her phone, she got the exact same phone, and she was sitting in the back of the bus and made a point of screaming out to me, Davida, don't you think you're not the only one that and it was like, what was the purpose of screaming out at me about something that I had because she got it, unless there was petty jealousy? And yet she couldn't recognize what she was feeling, and she thought she was so positive. And yet, when a lot of the things she said showed me she wasn't. And I know that she was married for 20 years to someone who physically abused her daily and stayed with him and kept moving on until after she had a third child with a disability. Then she decided it was time to end the marriage. But I've always said, because I had to put up with it when it came to my father, that I was never going to put up with it from anyone else. And I know that I had a shield up to protect myself. So understanding why you react certain way, why you do certain things, helps you understand exactly why you do the things that you do on a daily basis. Practical ways to become more present every day. Let's make this practical. Here are simple habits that can help you reconnect with the present moment and improve your mental wellness. Practice conscious breathing. Your breath anchors you to the present. When anxiety rises, pause and take a slow, deep breath. Even now, minutes of intentional breathing can calm your nervous system. Limit constant digital stimulation. Your brain was not designed for nonstop notifications and comparison. Take intention breaks from social media, from news, from endless scrolling. Silence helps your mind recover. Start journaling. Journaling helps organize emotional clutter. Write down your thoughts, your emotions, your fears, your goals, your gratitude. You'll often discover clarity you couldn't access mentally. Use grounding techniques when overwhelmed. Focus on your senses. Ask yourself, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? What do I smell? Grounding pulls you back into the present moment. Stop rushing everything. Not everything needs to happen immediately. Slow your pace occasionally. Eat slower. Walk slower. Speak slower. Breathe slower. Presence grows when urgency decreases. Create moments of silence. You do not always need noise. Silence helps you reconnect with your inner self. Some of your greatest clarity will come during quiet moments. We often need to learn to be by ourselves because we're so used to being around people, and some people's personality is such that they can't be alone. And often what happens is you end up in unhealthy relationships because you can't be alone. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control everything, but you can control your choices, your reactions, your mindset, your habits, your boundaries. Peace increases when your focus returns on what is within your control. Healing happens in the present moment. Many people postpone healing. They think, I'll rest later. I'll slow down later. I'll take care of my mental health later. But later often never comes. The present moment is where healing begins, not when life becomes perfect, not when all stress disappears, not when everyone finally understands you. Right now, healing starts when you become aware of what you feel, what you need, what you've been carrying, and what no longer serves you. Mental wellness is not about never struggling. It's about learning how to navigate life with awareness, compassion, and emotional balance. Some days will still be difficult, but presence helps you move through difficulty without becoming consumed by it. As we close today's episode, I want to remind you of something important. You do not have to have your entire life figured out today. You do not have to solve every future problem tonight. And you do not need to carry yesterday forever. So come back to this moment, this breath, this day, this opportunity to begin again. Mental wellness is built on the present moment, one moment at a time. The more you slow down and reconnect with yourself, the more clarity and peace and emotional strength you create. So this week, I challenge you to practice presence intentionally. Put the phone down occasionally. Take a walk without distractions. Breathe deeply. Listen more carefully. Notice your thoughts without judging yourself because life is happening now. So thank you for joining me today. If this episode encouraged you, inspired you, or helped you reflect in a meaningful way, share it with someone who may need this reminder too. Until next time, remember, your peace matters, your healing matters, and your mental wellness begins in the present moment. And I want you to take this time to begin to see yourself for who you actually are and help yourself begin to react in ways that can help you begin to see yourself for who you were meant to be in the present, in the future, and don't try to live in the future while you're living in the present.